everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Rails. I have a love-hate relationship with Adobe's masking tools in Adobe Camera Raw, and recently I feel like I just got it. I feel like I just figured it out. So the hate part was really on me. I apologize, Adobe. It does take some getting used to from the older format, which is already like a year or so old. But since the update, I've kind of avoided using it, and I'm just now realizing just how powerful this amazing new mask tools are. Let me bring up an example here quickly to show you. So it used to be a brush icon, which I was so familiar with, but now that's been replaced by a mask, and you can choose a brush inside. So if you wanted to just like brush on, make something brighter like that. You also have like your linear gradient, which you may be or may not be familiar with, radial gradient, which does the same thing, but like does everything inside or outside of a circle. But that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you are these amazingly powerful tools here, subject, sky, and background, and how to kind of layer the effects one on top of another, all in Adobe Camera Raw, which means it's non-destructible, which means you can go back and just redo it, re-edit it, undo it, whatever. And also, it's not like huge file sizes like you would have in Photoshop. So I'm gonna go back to my brush, my mask tool, sorry, old habit, and I'm gonna choose sky, right? Right off the bat, okay, it's showing where it shows. It's not perfect, but it's pretty freaking remarkable. As I move the slider, that annoying red highlight disappears, which is one of the things I hated. And now I'm realizing just by using the tool more, I'm realizing that, yeah, no, they did think of that and it does work quite well. I'm just gonna lower exposure and like, oh my God, like, okay, obviously that's too much, but like you're seeing clouds that you literally couldn't see before. So the data was there, and just with a click, I'm able to just affect the sky. More importantly than exposure, I would say, is color temp. I'll move this over to blue, and I'm only, again, affecting this sky portion of the photo, not anything else. So I'm gonna make it more blue because, you know, blue skies. And then here's what's really cool. I wanna now choose the rest of the image, right? So I can actually make a new mask by clicking up here. Wait, let me, that's the one. Let me get rid of my stupid face. All right, that's better. And go to duplicate and invert. So we want to duplicate this mask, but the opposite, meaning everything that's not the sky. And boom, just like that, we can affect everything that is not the sky. So I think color temperature works really great here. It's pretty subtle. I'm not really even affecting so much, you know, saturation and exposure. And we do see it needs a little bit of work here, but just that is so remarkably fast. And look at the before and after. It just gives it so much punch really quickly. Like these automations would be really helpful in some kind of batch edit where you're going through a gig of, 200-300 photos that you're able to do these really quickly and then just, batch save it as well. Upon closer inspection, we can see some of this bleed over here from that sky mask. So we could go to our original mask and click add or subtract. In this case, we're gonna go to subtract and click brush. Now, all of these options are everything that was available before that you can use to further tweak the mask. So we have also select sky, brush, you can add a linear gradient, a radial gradient. And again, you're editing this mask. So you're either adding to it or subtracting to it. In this case, I'm just gonna take a brush, and then this is like more what I'm used to. The little old school approach is just brush this on, get rid of some of that blue bleed, if you will, that bleed of that original sky mask that we have. And now, boom, we're affecting our original mask, and that is much cleaner. Again, this is a bit of a quick and dirty method, but if you're batching photos, it is a remarkable improvement in very, very few clicks. Let me show you some other examples. Here, I think if we choose the sky, it's not really gonna help because the sky is so blown out. If I lower exposure, it's just going to get to that muddy gray. We are seeing a little bit of highlights there, but what I would sooner do is just move the color temp over, make it a bit blue. We could even lower the highlights a little bit, bring some of that detail back. And then I'm going to go to my mask and duplicate the invert, which means everything else. And now I can make that more orange or match that to blue or just like raise exposure or lower exposure. It's just so fast with a tick of a what? Here, I'm going to choose sky again. And again, it does a pretty good job. It's not perfect, but I mean, look at this. I'm just going to move this over to blue, maybe lower exposure a little bit. Even just that, even without doing anything else, we go from a flat image to a very beautiful, vibrant image. Here's another pretty washed out example, just shooting straight into what I believe was the setting sun. We're going to choose sky and just make it blue. Let's see if we can lower the exposure. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. We'll lower it to there. And then let's just duplicate and invert. Make that a bit nice golden orange, setting sun, maybe a bit more exposure. Boom, before, after. This is even before any like general tweaks that I would do. So that's like my starting point. You know, I would amp things up like clarity or vibrance or anything else that I would usually do. And this is all happening in like less than a minute. Let's do two more quickly. Here we have a very blue, you know what? I'm going to auto correct this first. So that's a little bit too green and yellow to my liking. So let me just tweak that a bit. Now we're going to go up here and click sky. We're going to lower exposure to really bring out some of those details. And maybe I'll even puff up some of those whites to get that cloud action. We're going to make it nice and blue because sure, it was a beautiful blue day. Let's just say that. We're going to go to invert. We're going to go to duplicate. We're going to go and make that nice and orangey and maybe add some clarity. I mean, look at that before and after. I mean, it's just seconds. And again, it's completely separated from the sky. So you have so much control with such little work. Last example I want to show you is this like layering up of this mask, if you will. If we go to mask and we click sky, let's say I want to make it even more blue. What happens is it is rightfully so choosing the whole sky, right? That's sky, that's land. But what if I just wanted the blue part of the sky to be bluer and I don't want the orange part of the sky to be touched? Well, we go up here to subtract and we can go to color range. We can literally choose the color range that we want to subtract just like that. Look how fast that was. Let me show the overlay. Boom. I selected that. Now we see our mask is just highlighting the color that we chose. It's just this blue part of the sky. And just like that, we can make it bluer, less blue. And we could also do the inverse, right? We could go to add and then add this in, or add just the top, or add just this bottom part. We can add and subtract a luminance mask. So now we can just select the darkest parts of the image and isolate that. And I'm not even getting into selecting people and objects, which are some of those other options, which are just as powerful and way more useful probably. So this is a bit of an apology to you, Adobe. I was just kind of hating on the new, what I call the new brush tool, because I didn't realize that it was so much more than brushes. These masks are so powerful. A lot of this only used to be found in Photoshop. And in fact, these aren't even found in older versions of Photoshop. This is all new technology and it's only gonna get better. So yeah, that's kind of an intro to advanced masking in Adobe Camera Raw. I hope you found this helpful. Visit 52frames.com to join our free weekly photo challenge project.